Hi there again. We've just had that little break getting some of the concepts that we needed from JavaScript and from programming languages in general for doing loops, for conditionals and things like that. The good thing about that is to try and practice it. Okay, this is the way we're doing it here. As we can see, just right in the browser, we've got a great little playground as well as the same, basically the same way as that I was doing it. It's a good idea to practice and to invent things and try out things is the best way you can get a feel for how everything works and to try and resolve some of the issues that come up. They're a bit same. They can be a bit of a headache when you're starting off because it's hard to work out what's going on, but that's the way to grasp all the concepts. So let's go back to our game at the moment. So where did we leave off? We were trying to write this function which is going to reset the game basically, and also we said that this was going to be useful to set it up at the beginning as well. So we had gotten the message element this way using its ID. We're setting the initial text that it was going to use at the beginning of a game, and now we'd use this to get all the data cells inside the table. Good, so what we wanted to do now is for each of the cells in the table, we wanted to basically wipe out anything that it's got in it, if it's got an X or a 0. So we can do this. We can say the cells, and these are each of the cells. We can do the same idea, but we have to do it for each of them. So this is like an array. We've converted to an array. So a good thing would be to use a for statement. Okay, for let, so each one of these is going to be a cell. No, and it's going to be actually the index inside the array of the cells. So the index is going to be the number of each cell in our list, starting from 0. We always start from 0 when we're programming. So a 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, as many cells as we have. In this case, we've got 9. So the index, since we start from 0, is going to go from 0 to 8. So we let index of the cell index, we'll put icell, okay, index of the cell equals 0. That's how we said we start, that's how we initialize. Then we want, the next part was the condition. How many loops do we have to do? Well, we have to keep going with cell as long as the index is less than the length, so is less than the number, the total number of cells. How do we do that? Well, when we're dealing with arrays in JavaScript, we can have a look at our reference, but look up JS array, okay, and then we can have a look at Mozilla for example, and we can see all these functions that it gives us. We've got properties. One of the a property, okay, what's the difference between a method that it says here and a property? A property will be just something we could write. For example, cells is our array. We can say dot length, and that's it. That's a property. Method is like a function that we're calling. So concat, we would have cells dot concat, and with the parentheses. If it has something defined that we can pass in some kind of variable to the function, then that would have to be included there. Okay, so we'll go back, and we saw that we can use that we have a length property. So the length is the length of the array. So this is good for us here. The index has to be less than the length. The length should be 9. It should be 9 cells. So we'd go from 0 to 8. So that'll be good. and then we want to keep going through each iteration, increment by 1, the index. So we go through all the indexes of each of the cells. Okay. So what we can do now is go cells, and now it could provide the index that we're actually got. I cell. Okay, and what am I doing here? Just a short recap. Have a look at this idea. We've got an array, okay? We've got our list of cells. Just say we've got any kind of a list. We've got a list which is 1, 2, 3. Hang on, equals, we forgot the equals. Okay, so if we want to reference the first element of this array, of this list, we would do it like this. Put a 0 is the first one, and it gives us the value of 1. If we have list, we want the second element, we'd put the index of 1, and so on. Okay? The third element, the index of 2. So this is what we want to do here, but in this case, the index is going to be a variable. So the index, we can put a variable as well. So that would be if we have, okay, so I'll put let I equals 2, and then we can say list I. Okay, we can do that kind of thing. So this is what we're going to do here. That's what we want. So cells is our array, and our index is what is being incremented in each loop. So each of the indexes for each cell now, this is going to be each cell, the inner HTML, we want to set it to nothing. Okay, so that should do a trick. That should be enough. I don't know if we're forgetting anything. We can save this file, and we can go back and we reload our page. We press the reset button. Hang on, what we want to do is to make sure it works, don't we? How can we do that? Well, we'll put something in. Put 3 X's here on the first column. Okay, reload. Reset. Doesn't do anything. Why doesn't it do anything? Because we've defined a function here, but we're not calling the function anywhere, are we? What do we want to do? There's something that's called, when we're in JavaScript, and when we're dealing with user interaction, which is the case, we want the user is clicking the buttons. When the user clicks the button, we want that reset function to execute, so it gets rid of these X's. How do we do that? We'll go back to, we can put this right into our HTML document. We can put it right on there, and it enables us to put it right on the element itself. So we can say on click, and it knows. So this is a way to define, this is another attribute on our element, and so it knows with this that when it receives, this element receives the click event. On a click event, what do we have to do? We can execute this JavaScript. What is it? Just to call the function reset. Okay, we'll save that. We go back, we reload. Now we'll press reset, and it worked. So not only did it wipe that out, it's also setting our status text message that we hadn't set at the beginning. So now we're doing it at the beginning, but we also want this to be done when the first time whenever we set up our application, so we can just call it here directly. So when it's first loaded, this file, it's going to always execute the reset function. Let's go back again. There we go. Now the X's don't appear. Well, they actually appear for a, I don't know, 1 millisecond or something that it's hardly appreciable, but it actually have, that's why it's got that flicker, because it's repainting the window again and it's putting up everything we established. So the first time around, the first time the X's should be there, but we can't see them. So anyway, we'll leave that without the X's, and we can reload now. And yeah, there we go. It's putting everything to 0. Everything is how we expect, just to set it up and to be able to reset the screen. Okay, we'll follow up on this now. The next step, I guess, is to be able to, when we click on these things, we want them to be able to put an X or a 0 when the user clicks. So we'll do that in the next episode. See you soon.